Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are going to make this adorable, it's freaking adorable little pumpkin jar mold. So I got this at Temu. It was actually in the last Temu haul video that I did, where I showed it. Anyway, so we're going to be doing some glitter, we're going to be doing some mica powder, and we're going to do some fairy lights. Excited to work with fairy lights. Never done it before, so this is a first for me. So we'll see how it goes. So the first thing I'm going to do, I've already got my resin mixed up, and it's just setting, degassing, all that fun stuff. I'm going to start shoving these lights in. So I've seen people do it different ways on YouTube. I've seen them put it in after your resin is kind of like at its tacky stage, but for this particular type of mold, that's not going to work. If I did it that way, it would just make a crazy huge mess, and nobody wants that. Um, so I'm shoving them in there, and they're on the wire, so it makes it a little hard. I'm just going around the circle trying to as evenly place the lights as possible. Again, I've never worked with fairy lights, and I am using mica powders, so it's not going to be a transparent piece. So at this point, I don't even know if you're going to see them at all. But I really wanted to try it just on the off chance. I'm not going to make my mica completely opaque. Um, but it's going to be pretty opaque, if that makes sense. Like, it's not going to be like this solid bam block of color, but at the same time, it could be too much so that it doesn't show. I'm also going to be doing like a dirty pour. I'm mixing in this chunky, hollow, coffee colored glitter with all these beautiful fall colors in it, um, and just clear resin. And then mix the two different colors of the mica powder up. And then I'm just going to kind of pour. Um, Alternating it, hoping that maybe I'll get some variation in color and that the clear mica will kind of, or not clear mica, clear resin will kind of like break up and cause spots in the pumpkin itself to where you'll be able to see the lights through, but we'll see. So the colors that I'm using are colors I got, I believe, from Amazon. It's by Yeso Great, I think is the brand name. And it's a brownish red, and then red gold is the other color. Um, I want to say this came in a pack of like either 24, 30 colors, something along those lines. And then they came in those little bags that you see. So, onto the rose gold. I think this is a really pretty color, and um, I'm really happy with it, and I really wanted some separation in the colors. And as you'll see here in a minute, I ended up making them a lot more opaque than what I had initially planned. It seems to be the way it works. When I want it opaque, I can't get it opaque. It's transparent no matter how hard I try. And when I want it to be transparent, it turns out to be opaque. Such is my luck. Anyway, on to start filling this beautiful, beautiful mold. So, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start with the lid and the glitter. Um, I want to shove down this beautiful, beautiful brown glitter down into that little cavity where the stem is. And to do that, I'm just going to get my silicone tool and I'm just going to shove it in there. And that's going to get any air bubbles out. It's going to push it to the surface. It's going to get that resin down in there. And then I'm just going to refill it back with the resin. And then I'm just going to take some of it and I'm going to smear it along the bottom, which would be the top of my lid. I know that it's going to sink anyway if I put it in there. But again, I'm hoping for some transparency. I'm hoping for my colors not to kind of mesh all the way together. But I do know that I want this to be seen. Like, I don't want to take the chance and not have it be seen. But at the same time, I don't want a lot of glitter there. But I do want it to have like a thin layer of glitter. And then after I spread it all out, just to kind of give it an even proportion, I'm going to take some of that glitter and I'm going to dump it into the bottom of my pumpkin mold. So now it's just a case of putting in all of my colors. Um, I'm going to do it separately and hope for the best, honestly, as far as the color goes, that they don't completely merge together as one color. Um, just to hope that I do get some kind of an offset color. Adding in a little bit more of that clear resin with the glitter in it. Less for the glitter at this point and more for just that clear resin to kind of give that separation between the colors. Um, until my mold's filled up. Now, right around this point is where I start to realize that I've never used this mold before. And even though my resin does handle deep-ish pores, I don't know if it's going to be too deep for this particular mold or not. So I'm freaking out just a little bit. Actually, just a lot bit. Because I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to flash cure. Like, I have no idea. And I've never had a flash cure before. So I'm stressing at this point. But, you know, onward we go. So I just made sure that I've got my fire extinguisher close just in case. And if it happens, it's a lesson learned that I will never do again. That's for certain. But I am freaking out. So I'm just filling it up, kind of adding in the colors just until my mold's filled. I do end up having to make some more. I didn't make quite enough for the pumpkin itself. So here's the clear resin. I'm just filling up the mold the rest of the way. Um, and then here come the fairy lights. They decided that they're going to start floating, and I think part of it is my fault for fiddling around with the part where it's coming out. My plan was to kind of pinch the wire up against the mold so that when the resin set, it didn't like it wasn't coming out kind of dumb like on the bottom or didn't float up or anything. Anyway, it's something that should have been done prior to having all of this resin in there, because the more I fooled with that, the more the rest of the wires started to pop up. And then I had a heck of a time getting it back down, and it was just this whole thing. I wanted to kind of pull some of that color onto the bottom of the mold so that it would come up and over and it wouldn't have a completely clear bottom on it. But at this point, just with the way that the wires kept popping out, and the last thing I wanted was to have wires outside of the resin. I ended up not really fooling with it much more than that. It was slightly frustrating. So note to anyone that is going to try using fairy wires, make sure that you have your piece that's coming out of your mold kind of positioned the way that you want it and pinch down or whatever before you fill up your mold with resin. Um, it'll save you a lot of heartache and stress and all that fun stuff. And this is me just trying to slowly pull up the color, but then giving up slightly after. So here we are, finally 24 hours later, and it is time to demold this beautiful thing. So I'm going to start first with the lid, and it was kind of a little hard to kind of get my fingers in just the way that it came up and over, and it was so thin because the silicone is very thin on this one, but it did come out pretty easily and without any air bubbles whatsoever, and it is gorgeous, guys. Like, absolutely gorgeous. At least I think so anyway. I think it's probably one of my favorite pieces that I've made here lately, and it's definitely something that uh I don't know if I want to sell anymore. I think I may want to keep this piece. I love how the glitter just kind of accented around with all of the detail that's in that top part of the mold. It's just beautiful. And then the way that the bottom came out, this was a little tricky. Not that it was hard to demold, because it wasn't, but I guess maybe I stressed myself out a little bit more about it than I needed to, simply because of the wire there. I was scared I was going to end up pulling something and messing up the wiring somehow and then ruining the whole thing. I do give it a spray of isopropyl alcohol just to kind of help with that suction along there and get it to come out. Um, and it comes out like a dream. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. Uh, Here's a warning. There is some flashing lights here ahead for any of you that cannot. It's very brief, but it is in here just to let anyone that has an issue with it know. Um, but yeah, it comes out beautifully. The way that the top of the pumpkin and that lid match, like, I couldn't have planned that myself. Like, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, guys. Like, I love it so much. You don't even know. Look at that. I mean, look at that. Oh, it's beautiful. There's just some little over pour that I need to get off, but other than that, I mean, guys, look at the beautifulness of that. And that was just me showing you there's a little nubby thing that is cut out in the one part so that you put the lid on right. But look how pretty that turned out. I am in love. Now, it's time for the lights. Check it out. It works. I'm so happy. Ah, it's so great. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. All right, guys. So as I finish this up and showing you the lights and then the pictures, I just want to thank all of you again for subscribing. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, guys. And stick around for the glamour shots that are coming up next. And I will catch y'all in the next one. Love you. Bye.